So hello, my name is Monica Benitez, and this is my dissertation perspectives presentation for our final. My dissertation title is Beyond the Border, Navigating Cultural Wealth and Social Capital Among First Generational Latino Students in Community Colleges. The overview of this presentation will include an introduction, the statement of the problem, the study, my research questions, an overview of the literature review, methodology overview, as well as delimitations and limitations of the study, and a summary. So my introduction. So my qualitative phenomenology study, I know I butchered that. The study aims at acknowledging and valuing diverse cultural backgrounds, all while understanding these unique challenges the students face and how these understandings can inform interventions tailoring specifically to their needs. However, in this world of higher education, we're witnessing this paradigm shift that's happening. We're moving towards a more asset-based approach that places emphasis on strengths, resilience, and cultural wealth of our students instead of a deficit model, which is crucial for creating a more positive and inclusive environment. Now, my goal is to not just study these students, but be a part of these positive changes in education. And that is by learning about and appreciating the strengths and resilience of these first gen students. But I want to also contribute and share a more towards a more inclusive future for education. This transformative and potential idea of really embracing diversity, fostering cultural wealth, and building capital is really this call to action to have an opportunity to reshape what we have and what we perceive the support students need, and ultimately creating a brighter and more inclusive future for our education. So what is the statement of the problem? First, the problem exists as first generational Latino students as they navigate through cultural wealth and social capital in the pursuit of academic and personal development within community college environments. So while these dynamic processes that influence social capital and its resources in creating this interesting intersection of current institutional practices that sometimes institutions may not fully understand how they work, how they work together to create this environment for these students. More recently, colleges and universities and even institutions, administrators are increasingly adopting this asset-based viewpoint, right? So they're wanting and they're needing a more in-depth exploration of this, specifically in Hispanic serving institutions. So what are these key influential factors? So we've understood the problem. We know that we need to be able to work with this specific population, but what is influencing them, right? So what that looks like is the cultural value, that conflict between home and school that shapes the college experience of students. How are we highlighting? But also, what are these prolonged long-term effects on society, which can be very profound in their journey, educational journey. We're also here to acknowledge that social capital in this study addresses the specific barriers that these students face accessing specific support systems and cultivating the support networks. And which, to be honest, is it's crucial aspect for a successful educational journey and essentially degree attainment. Furthermore, how these challenges especially from difficulties in transitioning from college to from high school to college and how they perceive academic preparedness and what that looks like in as far as access and equity in higher education. So essentially we are here to embark on this journey to have a better understanding of how to really pave the way for success of first generational students in our institutions. So what is this study? What is the purpose of this qualitative study? And really, it's here to investigate the ways in which our students navigate cultural wealth and social capital to promote this academic and professional development with within this community college environment. My um, my study either investigating it chooses to investigate the challenges, the barriers, and the support systems encountered by first gen students, Latino students. And this research seeks to contribute an understanding of their experiences and to truly shed light on these effective strategies for enhancing their success in higher ed. Now, that's the purpose, the significance of the study. So, why are we doing this? Is really to make sure that we're seeking out opportunities to contribute to the existing literature on cultural dynamics, specifically in education. So, this study has that focus of first generation Latino students, but at specifically Hispanic serving institutions. Living along the Texas Mexico border, the southern Texas is really interesting because you have a very Hispanic population, but also this Hispanic serving institution that is very different for from the entire nation, unless you're like Laredo or El Paso, and even California, which borders Tijuana. And so you look at various aspects, a very specific study that we're looking at, specific study. Now, our aim also is not just academic; it's about fostering this shift within institutions, about striving to have influence, um, whether that is steering them towards a more supportive and inclusive environment for students, but bringing out and highlighting these diverse backgrounds in at the same time. So why does this matter? Well, because this research has really the potential to inform policy development and intervention. So by understanding these unique challenges faced by first gen Latino students, we can really look to implement strategies that address their needs effectively. But it doesn't stop there. Our ultimate goal is to contribute towards upward mobility within community colleges. We envision this future where educational institutions are not just a place of learning, but really platforms for empowerment, ensuring that every student, regardless of background, has the opportunity to thrive. So what are my research questions here in the study? So first, how do first generation Latino students at Hispanic serving institutions cultivate social networks and access to support systems to promote both academic and personal development within community college environment? Number two, what barriers and challenges to first generation Latino students at Hispanic serving institutions face when seeking to build and leverage social capital within community college? Number three, how do first generation Latino students' cultural backgrounds and family dynamics influence their engagement with social capital resources in community colleges and Hispanic serving institutions? And number four, what role do community college faculty and staff play in fostering social capital and first generation Latino students at Hispanic serving institutions? And how do these students perceive their interactions with educators? Now, getting into the big part of the study is the literature review. So we're looking at and really this literature review is probably the biggest part of the first half of this proposal, and it's broken up to several parts: the conceptual framework, the historical overview, institutional support systems, and program intervention supports. So first and foremost, the conceptual frameworks. What is the foundation of this study? And I'm breaking it down to three main theories. So the first one is Pierre Bourdieu is looking at cultural capital theory. And so he's a French sociologist who extends Marx's concepts beyond economic capital and looks to emphasize the significance of social and cultural capital in schools. So a key contribution of his work lies in the relationship between forms of capital encompassing economic, cultural, social, and symbolic dimensions. However, the drawback to this approach was suggesting that students who struggle academically lack this capital and are seen as deficient. So that is the deficient-based model that I referenced earlier. It was essentially this deficient-based perspective that one must acquire the information and abilities that social values have in order to succeed in. Now, the second is James Coleman in looking at social capital theory. So he was an American sociologist whose work highlights the importance of family and social networks in shaping educational experiences. So he really defines social capital as the resources embedded in these networks, the social networks that individuals can access and use to achieve their goals. So these students are part of these networks at high schools, college environments, and it's known that those that participate in this have better access to information, resources, support, contributions to academic success. He would go on to highlight the importance of family and community networks in shaping students' educational experiences. Last, we have Dr. Terioso, who looks at community culture wealth. And so she's an academic psychologist who challenged these traditional notions of cultural and social capital. So what she's done is that she identified 6 forms of capital: aspirational, familia, social, navigational, resistance, and linguistics, all celebrating these different forms of cultural wealth. So by articulating these cultural factors in communities of color, like Latinos, it allows for individuals to shift these existing narratives to be seen as valuable assets in cultural capital. Now, this historical overview. And this part actually has four different main subjects. And so the first one is first generational college students. First generational college students characteristics. So this term, first generation college students, refers to these individuals whose parents didn't even attend college. It was established by Boson and Terry in 1982. Now, the interesting thing is different studies may have a slightly different definition, such as including those whose parents have no college or university experience, or those that are their first in their family to attend college. Historically, first-gen students are faced with unique challenges and barriers in accessing and succeeding in higher education. They're often told that they lack social and cultural capital that comes from parents who've never attended. And they also lack familiarity of the college experience that could lead to feelings of uncertainty and lack of guidance in navigating academic and social aspects of college life. So now that we spoke about the general characteristics of first gen, now what about first gen Latino students? What does that insight look like? So now that we know these characteristics, this population has become the fastest growing demographics in the US in higher education, contributing to the rising numbers of first gen students. This population also faced these unique challenges like this first bullet point. And not only, but including financial constraints, limited access to academic resources, and tasks of navigating unfamiliar college environments. It limits their accesses to resources like textbooks, technology, and extracurricular activities, where sometimes they may feel this responsibility, right? If they don't have these resources and work in an education, they also have this responsibility at home. So it's this interesting education and home life that they're always trying to balance, because this responsibility in their home is to support their families financially or emotionally. So which can create this competing priorities of demands of time and energy, and the pressures that make it difficult for them to focus on one or the other. Which leads into this family and social context. So the amount of students that have families right behind them, especially with limited knowledge, have different experiences with education, which can really further complicate their journey because they're unsure. They don't know how to get started with navigating the college application process, or not sure how to really be prepared academically or financially stable to go to college, buy books, get a job, but also have a life. I need food. I need to be able to go to the dining hall, things like that. So what other factors that contribute to their success include this supportive campus climate, right? Which is that social part, access to social networks, to mentors, and this sense of optimism for degree attainment. Now, this last one, gender, I have yet to quite fully flesh out, but I really want to speak to the differences in male versus female expectations in family, and whether that is like household, education, career, because I really feel that it affects education. So I'm curious to see how that could really have a play on this. This next main theme is institutional support systems. So what is this inclusive academic environment where these teaching practices incorporate both cultural wealth and social um, within the class, in and out of the classroom, right? So what does that look like? Also, what is this community outreach? How are we building the support system for students that we build trust, and we're able to inform our students, whether that is, basic need supports, whether that is housing, there's food insecurity, things like that. How are we able to reach out to these students? And lastly, how are we personalizing guidance that recognizes and values the student? So we think of advisors, we think of recruiters, we think of faculty for employer services. So this specific, like almost case management approach, that they're holding them accountable, making sure that they're going to this next place in their educational career. This next key element is program and intervention support. So we are highlighting pre-college preparation. We're looking at transitional support, first year successes, for example. And so we're looking at how are we providing these academic support systems, college readiness, workshops, affirmation, cultural affirmations. And what this looks like is, these collaborative learning spaces, programs like the TRIO program, Upward Bound, Gear Up, dual credit, orientation programs. So what are actual programs in place that are supporting our students from the ground up? Yes, there's advisors. Yes, there is a counselor that we can speak to, but what is happening socially that could really support our students in this way and continue to guide them? Next is our methodology. So it's going to be taking place at South Texas College, which is a Hispanic serving institution. It's located in the most southern region of Texas, bordering Mexico. And South Texas really serves as an ideal environment because, especially for exploring the challenges faced by first generation Latino students as they navigate through wealth and social capital is where it's at. The institution is probably at 96% Hispanic. So that kind of brings into perspective of the type of setting we are looking at as first gen, but also Hispanic serving. And so the cultural relevance of the setting enhances the study's capacity really to uncover these challenges and strategies specifically for this demographic. So we're looking at purposeful sampling. So given the specific purpose of first gen Latino students, purposeful sampling will be used to select participants to meet the specific criteria. So I'm going to be collaborating with STC's Bachelor's of Applied Science and Organizational Leadership program, which is the BASL, and working with Dr. Emma Miller, where I'll be asking students to self-identify and allowing them to disclose their first generation status and their Latino heritage voluntarily. The participant information, now I will be selecting 6 students and confirming them. The participants will be given detailed information about the study, its purpose, its procedures, potential risks, all while obtaining informed consent for each student. Now, the data collection and analysis, this is where semi-structured interviews will be conducted with each participant individually. And so the interviews will be designed to explore their lived experiences, their challenges, strategies related to cultural identity, cultural wealth, and social capital. Open-ended questions will be used to and be related to the research purpose. Questions allowing participants to share their perspectives. As far as the data analysis, I'll be using first and second coding that could be used either in vivo or pattern coding to find the common themes that arise. So using both coding methods could, especially in qualitative data, can be grounded in understanding the participants' own words and experience. Now, the delimitations and limitations of this study. So what are the first and foremost is the geographic location. So what is the specific scope and boundaries is set specifically to the southernmost region of Texas bordering Mexico that has specific focus of at South Texas College. The second is that how we selecting the participants. So by having the purposeful sampling approach, participants were selected exclusively from the Bachelor's of Applied Science and Organizational Leadership program at STC. The third is the number of participants. The sample size is small. So having six, especially being delimited, is having six is small. However, there's potential limitations of capturing the broader experiences of students in this population. Now, the limitations, on the other hand, having them self-identify. So limiting and relying on self-identifications of students with the possibility of underreporting or misinterpreting of first-generational students by participants. So they may or may not know if they're first-gen or Latinos. And so the second is being institution specific. So limiting ourselves to South Texas College and the transferability of results to other Hispanic serving institutions or even non-HSIs that are being constrained. Finally, the summary. So this qualitative study is truly seeking to embark on an intentional journey to understand and celebrate academic and personal successes in this border town between Mexico and South Texas. This strong focus of cultural wealth and social capital conceptual frameworks will be used to reveal how students can leverage various forms of cultural capital to overcome particular challenges and learn how to thrive in post-secondary education. And ultimately, the study will be able to contribute to this narrative. This narrative of empowerment, of resilience that can reinforce the transformative potential of community cultural wealth in community colleges. So I would like to say also thank you for my presentation. I appreciate this course and being able to kind of wrap up my dissertation in this way. I look forward to your feedback. And yeah, thank you so much.